Welcome. I'm Dr. Sarah Larsen. As you know, or as you may not know fully, I'm here in service to the greatest good that can come through your and my interaction. So grateful over the most of my life, but especially since 2003. Greg Larsen, my husband, and I have been running community gatherings throughout the Los Angeles area and retreats all over the world. Since our meeting, a higher intention got put into place. And even though he and I have struggled in our relationship, we've struggled in finances, we've struggled in health at times, and to really define out the values that we wanted to transmit and move forward to our kids, 2003, right? To currently 2021, that's a long time. And during this time, anything that we could use, the 5 principles that I'm about to share with you, the 5 habits, those areas we were able to manifest so lickety split. The clients that I've worked with, not just being a doctor and working with non-government organizations prior to leaving medicine to become a mom and to further my education on the mystery teachings. I began this journey with my grandmother in the villages of Pakistan, who taught me such incredible mysteries on manifesting. My incredible grandmother, oh my gosh, when I think about it, I was born in a village. My mornings consisted of taking a beautiful pot and walking out to the well with this giant pot and filling it with water and bringing that back to our kitchen. And the responsibilities of women in my culture and where I grew up was to bless the water, bless the food, and to continue being able to create for the community the greatest good that could come through us. It's amazing. My grandmother saw and taught me the energy. She would later describe to me what it was. In the United States or in different cultures, it's like a lake. Everyone's energy is swimming together, but there's no direction. It's just these boundaries based on the highest consciousness of the people and the lowest consciousness. And that was what in the United States the energy was. And she said, this was when we were in Mississippi. I must have been 11 years old when she was describing the difference in energies and how to have the energy that we had in Pakistan. The energy in Pakistan was like a river. The community was like a river. It was flowing in a direction. And the highest, right, the highest vibration or frequency would get there sooner, and the lowest, there was resistance. But the highest was the more that they believed, the more that they journeyed, the more passionate, the less cognitive dissonance that they had, the more they were able to bring those that had resistance with them. And so the Eastern philosophy, like this incredible river flowing all in the same direction, the growth of the community, the growth of what's possible for everyone, the growth of the greatest good that can come through us. And that is one of the channels, one of the 5, when you are in that flow of a river, of that energy, you can co-create anything. When you're in a lake energy, how do you get to create and manifest? How do you get to be and understand your own energy, your own habits? So let me say all of this another way. It's so important. Depending on where you grew up, there are habits in your subtle energy field, and these habits create for you movement, flow, possibility, connection. They allow you to accelerate your innate abilities for manifesting consciously and unconsciously. In any society, right? The energies and the frequencies of your subtle energy are creating higher levels of organization, are creating higher levels of happiness. They are generating for your finances, your career, your body, your relationship. And those areas that you do not yet have the results that you want, this is the first belief that you've got to understand and embody. The first belief, the first habit is getting into the habit of saying to yourself, it's not your fault. Why is this important? Right? Why is it important? Because we learned through the work of Dr. David Hawkins, through the work of Candace Pert, through the work of Lynn McTaggart, your feelings come first. And if in your subtle energy, the feeling that you have on a subtle level is that it is your fault, that you have not yet manifested whatever it is that you want to manifest, well, you're stuck in an energy field that's like that lake, like being in a lake. If you believe and you begin to allow yourself to feel, wow, I haven't manifested it yet, it's not my fault, and it's in my responsibility, response. When you break up that word, it's such a beautiful word, right? Responsibility. It's so beautiful to get an understanding your ability to respond around it. If you get out of your subtle body, the energies that create that understanding that there is something that causes the fault is within you. It's kind of like that subtle question that you might ask yourself on it. What's wrong with you? I used to ask myself that question every time I was late for something. What's wrong with you? Why can't you be on time? You're a genius. Your body, your mind, your spirit, your subtle energy will find exactly what's wrong with you. And when you're searching for what's wrong with you, that amplifies. So that number one thing, there is a subtle energy of blame in your field, then you've got cognitive dissonance. Let me share the screen again because I want to make sure you get a visual for this, so that you get, this is why people get upset when their beliefs are challenged. And so it's like being in a stew of, it's a mental conflict. So the waves and the energy that your brain is sending out is conflicted. There's a subtle conflict. I want to say all of that another way. Your mental energy is supposed to be informed by your heart, by your compassion, by your response ability. And so there's emotional responses that happen in your brain that don't allow you to go deeply into and generate from your ability to create. I want to say all of this, point number one, again, in another way. It's so beautiful and it's so subtle. If you do not surrender to something greater than yourself in your responsibility, in your subtle body, then your manifesting in that area is blocked. And so we're going to stop right here with this first point and make sure that everyone that's here has gotten this point and that we can interact a little bit as we jump into the second point. I'm so glad you're here. You are listening to and participating in a Miracle Makers live class experience. This is the 5 habits of conscious manifestation. And so the first habit that we talk about is getting into resonance with your brain. It's removing, the step number 1 is removing cognitive dissonance. And so, yay, let's talk about this with the group and in the discussion that's coming up.